Are you ready to learn to get rid of stress in your life? To learn how to deal with the emotional turmoil that causes strokes, heart attacks, bad health, and even weight gain? Life-changing habits for work, family, and everyone you deal with start here with Andrew Wittman. It's time to get warrior tough. Here's Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman.
All right, we're back at it. It is time to get warrior tough, the most monumental hour in media anywhere. We're your leadership and mental toughness coaches, Andrew Wittman and the Dutch Coleman.
What's happening, everybody?
I'm grateful that we have the technology.
Oh, man, I'm loving it.
That's so good.
Just think how bad it used to be back in the day, so we're good.
Yeah, 2 Dixie cups and a string. Oh, that was before your time. Oh, man. Well, hey, you know what? Welcome to the show. It is our special Thanksgiving show, and every day should be Thanksgiving. You could use the hashtag #GetWarriorTough on Twitter. Go there and tell us what you're grateful for. You can find Dutch at the Dutch Coleman. I'm at Warrior Tough PhD. Of course, the website, getwarriortough.com. Download the app. Find us on the YouTube channel, the LinkedIn, the Facebook page. What else do we got out there, Dutch? Man, oh, Shevitz, there's so many ways to get a hold of us.
I think Instagram. I think you missed Instagram.
Snapchat, Periscope, and the old-fashioned phone, 864-977-1443. That's another way you can get a hold of us.
If you can't get a hold of us, it's all your fault. There's about a million different ways.
We're not taking responsibility for it, huh, Dutch?
No,
we're accessible, man. Ain't no fence around us. I'll just say that. No fence around us.
No, our hands are open and up, waiting for you to reach out.
I tell you. So I'm excited about tonight because coming into this week in the U.S. Now we have to start talking to our international audience because most of the audience is international. It seems like percentage-wise. So in the U.S. this week is Thanksgiving holiday weekend, where we take time to stop and give thanks. But it really should be all the time. And in the warrior tough culture, that you and I talk about this, one of the greatest mental toughness tools and one of the greatest pressure-proofing tools is gratitude and being grateful. So we want to talk about that tonight. We're going to hone in on it. But before, this is my style, Dutch, and I like to flip things, look on the flip side of the coin, right? Look on the back side of the coin. The flip side, because it helps me to locate in my own life areas I need to work on easier than just congratulating myself saying that I'm grateful.
Amen. I mean I think that's a more efficient, a more productive approach to this. I think people oftentimes get it backwards. I liken it to the whole situation where do you work on your strengths or your weaknesses? It has a similar approach. Well, people oftentimes get it backwards.
Right, they want to work on their weaknesses instead of their strengths. Right. So
right.
You're right. It's kind of like that, and we do that. That's kind of our shtick, you and me. We kind of turn conventional wisdom, quote, on its head, and then really that's where we make some really effective moves forward in the mental game.
Yeah, and it's not just to be contrarian. It's based on common sense. It's based on productivity. It's based on science. It's based on information, data. It's based on history. So it just so happens that what we do seems to always buck conventional wisdom. I don't know if it says more about us or how bad conventional wisdom is,
or maybe some of both. But I'm so glad you brought up like the science and the research and the empirical data, because we take the empirical data if we can get it, and we'll take hard science if we can get it, and of course we're going to weave that in tonight. Because here's the first thing. So the first thing, and I queued up really 2 studies on this for us tonight, Dutch. The first one is how complaining physically rewires your brain to be anxious and literally depressed.
Wow. I mean, you literally have to read that again. So I'm going to say it. How complaining physically rewires your brain to be anxious and depressed. I mean, that's saying a lot, because you don't really associate those things from a physical standpoint. You know what I mean? We always associate it with if you think this way, then it's going to take you down this path.
Or it's just attitude or something like that. Yeah.
But for you to say, and we're going to explain this, but for you to say physically rewires, that lets you know that this is real. This isn't some voodoo. This is real, that they're finding out through science. And we'll go into more detail, obviously.
Right. And so now I pulled this column from The Hardy Soul, thehardysoul.com. But the reason that shout out to Mike Brakefield, my good friend. I was in Jordan with him and the Middle East, and we've done a lot of stuff together. And he sent this to me because he red flagged it because it was talking about neuroscience and biopsychology, and it's from a professor in Clemson University. So he was like, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Clemson. All right.
Right. So that's why Brakefield sent it. So shout out to Mike Brakefield, my good friend, who sent us this. And I said, this is perfect. Right. So thanks for finding that for us. This is great. And we encourage all of our listeners to do the same thing. If there's something you come across and it reminds you of us, or you want us to talk about, or whatever you think we should see it, please send it to us. Send us the link, man.
Say it. I love this stuff. I love this article. And I love anything like this. This is good stuff. It's interesting that it comes from a website, The Hardy Soul, because this stuff is hardy for your soul. It's absolutely what it is.
It is. And I love what they do at The Hardy Soul, because it's right up our alley too, right? Even though we have a little bit different approach, but that's why we love, well-rounded different points of view. We love that.
Absolutely.
So in this column, right, they're talking about how when you go around complaining with the neuroscience and the biopsychology, what happens? It comes in. Well, you complain. So not only does it hurt your attitude and your mindset, but it physically rewires your brain to go towards anxiousness and depression. And we know that being anxious and fretful and fearful, what happens, Dutch, when you operate out of a mindset of fear? What happens to half your brain?
It shuts down.
And it's the genius problem-solving half of your brain that shuts down. So when you go around, see, it's not that, you shouldn't complain because your mom told you. You shouldn't complain for selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. So that you can keep your genius brain turned on.
Yeah, and we're finding out that it's not about what people say. It's about what's really happening. It's about what's physically happening to you when you do these things. So no longer is it what people think or what people thought. There's a physical connection when you do these things. So it behooves you to not do these things more than just because mama and daddy and them said it.
Right. Even though they were right when they told you stop complaining. Right. And so this is funny, man. I got to tell you, and you and I run across this stuff all the time. But even people complain. All right, this is an example, okay? So a couple weeks ago, it was going to be Parents' Weekend at the Citadel, where my oldest son is a freshman, right? So we're all getting ready to go down there. Everybody's got their hotel reservations. And then there's this thing called Hurricane Matthew comes and floods the city. And people are complaining that the Citadel canceled and moved Parents' Weekend, and now the schedule's off. Seriously? I mean, seriously. All right, so and then they take to Facebook, and then and people will complain about. I knew a guy who got a $25,000 cash bonus. Dutch, do you think he was grateful? What did this guy say? He immediately started complaining about how much taxes had to be paid out of his $25,000 bonus that he didn't have yesterday. Bonus means he didn't earn it; it was given to him, and he was complaining about what he didn't get out of the $25,000 that went to taxes.
Yeah, those are my favorite people, the ones that complain about if you win a lottery, how much taxes they take out of it.
I know, right? And so, but there's a physical, response that happens in your brain to this is you literally reroute the power of your brain so that it becomes anxious and depressed on autopilot. Like physically, medically, you're anxious and depressed because you went around complaining. Now,
unbelievable.
Yeah. Now, listen, there's Dr. Robin Kowalski, the professor at Clemson, psychology professor at Clemson University. Shout out to Dr. Robin Kowalski. Love your work. Points out, actually breaks down complainers into three categories. And I love this. 3 categories of complainers. There's the venters. And you've heard this, right? I have to vent. Mm-hmm. It's good to vent. Have you heard that? It's good to vent?
Yes.
No, it ain't. No, because when you vent, you're rewiring your brain to become anxious and depressed.
Now, I hope people are getting this because we're bucking a lot of conventional wisdom, and it's going to be a lot of things that you've heard as being almost fact. I mean, in our little anecdotal world, this stuff is fact. So
right, which is actually a truth, right? In our parlance, we are pulling the curtain back to exposing truths, opinions, and beliefs that are not based in fact. And one of them is that it's good to vent.
Absolutely. So let's pay attention right here. This is some good stuff that's coming.
Okay, so this is how Dr. Robin categorizes venters. It's a sort of person who is very displeased but doesn't want to hear any solutions no matter how helpful they may be. They just want to complain. They just want to vent.
Now, the whole point of pointing out a problem, i.e. complaining, is to get a solution, right? I mean, if I tell you there's something wrong, then realistically, you're supposed to tell me how to fix it, right?
Right. So now that's the rule. That's the rule in our culture, right? You got to bring me If you're going to point out a problem, listen, man. But you know, listen, when I was pastor at a church, people would come and be like, "Yeah, we need a men's group." I'm like, "Roger that. That you should start that." Well, not me. Well, what'd you bring it up for?
But you know, it's funny that when we think problem, we think solution. When we think complaining, and someone's complaining, "Oh, well, this is too long. Well, let's shorten it. Oh, this is too small. Well, let's make it longer." Like those things go hand in hand. But a venter, we just said when someone's venting, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of space because no one really wants a solution. I mean, that's so critical. If you know people that are venters, and we all know them, think about how much time they're wasting of their own and of yours now.
Right.
So
that's
that
why
should be
I don't.
A factor.
Right. I don't put up with that. I love you, but I got a thing. I'll be like, huh? Look at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thinking about buying a speedboat. You know anything about speedboats? I mean, literally, I am getting very good at this. And I'll tell you what, this past election season with all the Twitter and the Facebook, and I've got a lot of friends on both sides and the ones up the middle that hated both sides, right? Dutch, you know what I'm talking about because you're in the same boat. We have the same similar streams, right? And I'm just ignoring all of it. Just ignoring, right? So I was like, because it's just emotional venting because you're not changing anything and you don't want to hear any solutions.
You don't want to hear the solution.
Right.
You already had your mind made up and the more if you actually hear, and I know we're coming up on a break here, but if you hear a solution, it's going to take away your babying and your whining, so you don't want to hear a solution.
Yeah, exactly. And then you know, it's meant, but I'm telling you, we're going to give you the hard science. What I'm giving you right now is empirical, but we're going to give you the hard science. What happens to your brain? It actually rewires to make you anxious and depressed medically. All right, we're up on the break. You're listening to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Dutch and Ange. We'll be right back.